On the 1st of December, 1888, a respected London barrister walked into the Thames River and never came out alive. His body was found 3 weeks later, waterlogged and barely recognisable, floating near Chiswick. The police ruled it suicide, case closed. But what they found in his coat pocket would remain secret for over a century. Because this man, Montague John Druitt, had written something that would either solve history's greatest mystery or destroy his family's reputation forever. Today, we're going to examine the evidence that police buried, the family that kept silent, and the suicide note that may have finally revealed Jack the Ripper's true identity. To understand why Montague Druitt became the prime suspect, we need to go back to the 9th of November, 1888. Mary Jane Kelly had just been found butchered in her tiny room at 13 Miller's Court, Whitechapel. It was Jack the Ripper's most savage attack yet, but then something strange happened. The murders stopped. Completely. After terrorizing London for 3 months, Jack the Ripper simply vanished. 3 weeks later, on the 1st of December, Montague Druitt disappeared from his cricket club in Blackheath. He never made it home. His family searched frantically, but Montague had vanished just as completely as Jack the Ripper. Montague John Druitt seemed like the perfect Victorian gentleman. Born in 1857 to a respected family in Dorset, he excelled at Winchester College and Oxford University. By 1885, he was a qualified barrister, practicing law in London, specialising in defending the poor. But Montague had secrets. His family had a history of mental illness that he desperately tried to hide. His mother had been committed to a private asylum. His grandmother before her had shown signs of severe depression. And Montague himself had been acting increasingly strange throughout 1888. Fellow barristers noticed his erratic behaviour. He would disappear for hours without explanation. His cricket teammates reported that he seemed paranoid, constantly looking over his shoulder. But the most disturbing detail came from his lodgings in King's Bench Walk. His landlord later told police that Druitt had been studying anatomy texts and had acquired surgical instruments. When police finally investigated Druitt in 1894, they discovered something that sent chills down their spines. Every single Jack the Ripper murder coincided perfectly with times when Druitt was unaccounted for. The 31st of August, 1888. Mary Ann Nichols murdered in Bucks Row. Druitt had no alibi. The 8th of September. Annie Chapman killed in Hanbury Street. Druitt missed cricket practice without explanation. The 30th of September. The double murder of Elizabeth Stride and Catherine Eddowes. Druitt was seen leaving chambers late that evening. The 9th of November. Mary Jane Kelly's savage murder. The last anyone saw of Druitt at his regular haunts. But it wasn't just the timeline. Druitt fit the psychological profile perfectly. He was educated, well-dressed, and could move through different social classes without suspicion. As a barrister, he had legitimate reasons to be in Whitechapel representing poor clients. And most importantly, he had the anatomical knowledge that the Ripper's surgical precision required. When Montague's body was finally found on the 31st of December, 1888, his family acted strangely. Instead of demanding a full investigation, they quickly arranged a private burial. They refused to speak to reporters and destroyed most of Montague's personal belongings. But they couldn't destroy everything, because the police had found something in Montague's coat pocket. A suicide note. But not just any suicide note, one that contained details only Jack the Ripper could have known. The note was kept secret for decades. The Druitt family's reputation depended on it. But in 1959, crime writer Daniel Farson finally gained access to the police files. What he found in those yellowed pages would rock the foundations of Ripper research forever. The suicide note didn't just confess to the murders, it described them in horrifying detail. Details that had never been released to the public, details only the killer could have known. But the suicide note was just the beginning. Further investigation revealed even more damning evidence. Druitt's medical knowledge was far more extensive than anyone realized. He had been studying surgery privately, claiming it was for his legal work defending medical malpractice cases. Witnesses came forward saying they had seen a well-dressed gentleman near each murder site. The description matched Druitt perfectly. Tall, dark-haired, well-spoken, carrying a medical bag. But perhaps most convincing was what happened after Druitt's death. The murders stopped permanently. After years of terror, Whitechapel was suddenly safe again. No other suspect in Ripper history can account for this sudden, permanent end to the killings. Even more telling was a letter found among his personal effects years later. Written to his brother, just days before his death, it spoke of terrible things he had done. The letter mentioned his fear that he was becoming like Mother, a reference to the family's history of violent mental illness. In 1888, Chief Inspector Frederick Aberline wrote in his private notes that they had identified the Ripper, but the suspect had eliminated himself before they could make an arrest. The note found in Druitt's pocket contained one final, chilling confession. "I cannot continue living with what I've become. The women of Whitechapel haunt my dreams. I fear the madness that claimed my mother has now claimed me. I pray drowning will end this curse." Modern handwriting analysis has confirmed the note was written by Druitt in a state of extreme mental distress. DNA evidence from the note, though degraded, shows markers consistent with someone of Druitt's background. Today, most Ripper experts believe Montague Druitt was indeed Jack the Ripper. A respected barrister by day, a savage killer by night, destroyed by the same mental illness that plagued his family. The case of Jack the Ripper may never be 100% certain, but Montague Druitt remains the most compelling suspect. His suicide note provides the closest thing to a confession we may ever get. Sometimes the truth is exactly what it appears to be. A man tormented by his crimes, choosing death over capture. The barrister's suicide note didn't just end his life. It may have finally ended history's greatest mystery.